That's
you
all
do
I'm
got to
saying.
take a break. It is a lot of fun, but sometimes it's like, yeah, you like today I was coming home and I had to use my debit card, and I'm just working all the time, and I'm so freaking exhausted.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the PIN to my debit card.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that terrible?
I can probably guess it. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4?
No, it's 1, 2, 3, 5. I'm pretty clever. I am pretty clever.
I saw the look on your face.
1, 2, 3, 4. That's ridiculous.
I saw the look on
That's
your face.
ridiculous.
I think I guessed it.
It's 1, 2, 3, 5. I think you're so smart, Mr. Tim Hamilton.
I think I had my bicycle when I was in grade school. You remember those locks that turned? They had numbers.
Yeah.
And you swivel the numbers around. I think mine was 1, 3, 2, 4. I think I did that.
Oh, you're clever.
I don't know. That bike got stolen. So
It did it? Oh, well. Well, yeah.
got stolen.
From school, from your house, from just out?
From behind our house.
Oh, man, that sucks.
In our tiny
just
town,
wrong.
robbery.
Yeah.
Tiny creepy town with a couple unsolved murders.
Couple unsolved murders. But it was the 70s. You were allowed.
It's the Seti Bimco Show. Over the holidays, we celebrate the long, cold nights by silently staring into the darkness.
It's the holidays.
It is the holidays.
Do you hate the holidays?
I love the holidays. No,
Really?
I love the holidays. I don't like the way Christmas begins as early as it does. I like my festivities like compact in that like week and a half from like say December 20th to New Year's, let's say.
Right.
I like that. No, I love Christmas. I love the idea of togetherness. I love the idea of giving gifts. I like the idea. I love all that stuff. I absolutely, and I love Thanksgiving, and I absolutely love it. Just, I don't like that it lasts so long. Like at work, we had the Christmas stuff out.
You hate it.
I think the weekend after Labor Day.
Right.
It might have been the day after Labor Day. I mean, it was early.
Well, you know.
And here's the thing. And you want to know the scary part about it? I'm like looking at this stuff going, I think I'm going to buy 3 of these. I'm like, wait a second, it's September. Stop. Oh, they were like little varying sizes of Christmas trees, but they were very very primitively done. So it was just like basically, it kind of like it made the Charlie Brown Christmas tree look like, a Douglas fir, it's just, I mean, they're very, very kind of primitive. They're almost kind of like sculpture instead of like Christmas trees. And they're still sitting there and they have 3 different heights and I'm all about the different heights.
The different heights of trees. Really?
Well, you got to have like the what do they call that when you have the varying heights? You've got to like
height phobia.
No.
Height obsession. No, what's the word?
No, I don't know. Anyway, anyway. So yeah, I was guilty. I was looking at the stuff.
Are you going to get on my case if I don't say Merry Christmas?
No, you know what? I'm, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want to do. No, I don't judge anybody. If you want to celebrate, that's great. If you don't want to celebrate, and I'm not going to sit here and go, no, it's wonderful. Oh, why don't you? No, I'd never do that to anybody.
I got my war on Christmas to keep.
So it is true. What they report on Fox News.
Yes.
So there actually is a caravan of hostile Central American migrants making their way to the U.S.-Mexico border. Hillary Clinton really is the head of a cannibalistic cabal in a pizza parlor in Alexandria. Maybe.
Anyway, the holidays.
They're here.
Do you like eggnog? Or you hate eggnog?
I like eggnog.
There's 2 camps.
I like eggnog. Again, I like eggnog during those 10 days from like December 20th to New Year's. I don't want a glass of eggnog in July.
Okay. No. No one does.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But no, like some people are like, we're already selling it. I'm like, no, it's too early for eggnog. It is too early for eggnog.
You just reminded me. I have to go get some. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. What do you put in yours?
Just rum. I made it once. I don't know if you ever made it with egg and everything.
No, I didn't. Maybe I'd be able to do it. I don't know. It just seems very, very complicated. And with my luck, with the eggs, I would probably give somebody salmonella. That's my biggest fear.
That's why you put the alcohol in it.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we go too far, I got to say, this is the SETI BIMCO show, the SETI BIMCO holiday extravaganza. And later today, we're going to talk about a really tough movie. It was bad, but it's Babes in Toyland. Not the good one. Not with Laurel and Hardy, but with Keanu Reeves.
Which Channel 11 used to show every year at Christmas. Oh, yeah.
But before we get there, we just talk quickly about the holidays, I guess.
Well, we could. What I have to talk about, what happened to me is...
That felt forced. Oh, did something happen to you?
That was kind of anticlimactic. Yeah, but I don't know if it was holiday related, although I suppose it could happen on the holidays. Now, of course, I live in Auburn, New York.
Yes.
I was here in the late 80s, early 90s, and I have an associate's degree from Kew Community College, right actually down the street here from my apartment. And, I've got dear friends I've had for 35 years. I'm going to be a little generous with this adjective. Auburn is a little quirky. Yes. And again, not to make light of anything, we have a serious opioid epidemic up here.
Yes.
We have a maximum security prison right in the middle of town. And
you have a historic house. I don't mean to interject your story.
Yes, we have the Seward House.
Yeah.
And the Harriet Tubman House.
Yes. Harriet Tubman is one I think.
Yeah. Well, also William Seward, Seward's Folly, Alaska, Secretary of State under Lincoln and Johnson.
I didn't know that one.
Also from Auburn. Yep.
Okay.
And what was I going to say?
The town is quirky.
This town is quirky. We have a maximum security prison. Inmates, when they're released, will sometimes settle in the town. Their families will move up here to be closer to their loved ones incarcerated. Mm-hmm. And I'm not making any judgments on anything. I'm just trying to give you the
Yeah.
And you process the information as you will. But we have some very quirky people in this town.
Okay.
And the other day I was walking down the street and I heard this couple, this man and this woman, fighting, arguing, bleep, 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 and F and this. And I can barely make it out what they're saying. And she's yelling back at him. And just this terrible, terrible, terrible argument.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking, are they from a group home for mentally challenged and or mentally ill people? Did they just leave the methadone clinic? Are they homeless? On the other hand, maybe she's a certified public accountant and he's a dental hygienist. Maybe again, not painting with broad strokes here.
Maybe they're arguing about which version of Justice League was better.
You're going to find out what they were arguing about in just a second here.
Okay, well, I want to guess whether they thought the director's cut of Justice League was better.
So I'm getting closer and closer to them. I'm kind of going as far to the right on the sidewalk as I can without getting hit by a car. Because I really don't want a fist to fly in or something and just catching me inadvertently. And so they're finally getting closer. I'm starting to make out what they're saying. And he's yelling at her, "You have no effing idea what you're talking about. Gryffindor values courage, bravery, nerve, and chivalry. Hufflepuff values hard work, patience, justice, and loyalty." Hand to God, Tim. It's funny because it's true.
You mean I wasn't too far off the mark?
I mean, it was pretty ridiculous.
When I guessed Justice League.
Yeah, I mean,
you're making that up.
I just that's why hand to God. It's funny because it's true.
Did they have any gray hairs?
Not that I can tell. I really didn't make eye contact with them, Tim. Okay. No, they look like they were maybe, I would guess around 30, 35, maybe.
Oh no.
They could have been 22 and just have had a hard life. Who knows, but I was like, oh my God. I mean, they were screaming, calling each other every name in the book over the houses at Hogwarts.
Did you stop to help them out?
No, I didn't. I just kept on walking. I just kept on walking.
Because you've read all those books, I know.
No, I haven't. You know the story about the books, don't you?
That you read them all? Yes. You've got all the movies?
No, don't you? You know the story. I read the first three books. I read the first three books.
Okay.
I read the first three books. And then the fourth book, The Goblet of Fire, which is like the size of the Quran.
Yes.
That was the very first midnight release of the book. Of a J.K. Rowling book.
You didn't go, did you, John?
I did.
You were shoving kids out of the way?
Me and my partner, we both got into them. And I was living in Greenville, North Carolina at the time. And my partner at the time, Michael, and I.
Okay.
The Barnes & Noble was like literally around the corner from our condo. Uh-huh. And he's like, I want to go. I'm like, well, okay, sure. And you had to call and make a reservation. So
John, you're tall enough. Just shove those kids out of your way.
No. So they decided at the midnight opening, and we got there like about 10 o'clock, that the midnight release, they were keeping the coffee bar, the Starbucks, open all night and giving everyone for free. Uh-huh. I don't know. I guess Scholastic paid for this. I don't know. Gave them unlimited coffee
oh my God.
And hot chocolate drinks.
Oof.
Now, if you can imagine.
One bathroom.
If you can imagine a Barnes & Noble filled with 6, 7, and 8-year-olds hopped up on caffeine, coming on along midnight.
Did they give coffee to the kids?
They gave them hot chocolate, which has, basically the same thing in it, right? Yeah.
Sugar.
It's just a hot chocolate. And it's free. And, so it's like, oh my God. So they gave us out pieces of colored construction paper.
Even you?
And that would determine what group you were in and what order you would receive the book. So there's like red, yellow, orange, blue, green, purple. And they hand me the ticket, and it's a brown piece of construction paper. And I'm like, oh, this can't be good. Because brown's not going first.
No.
You know what I mean? They're going to pick like one of the primary colors first. They're going to pick like a red or a yellow or a blue.
Well, I'm going to guess your partner got red.
Because you can only get one book. There's only one slot left. You can only get one book.
Gotcha.
And we were the second to last group. So it was like getting on 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was just like, and these kids are really, really starting to get on my nerves.
Punchy, I'm sure.
Yeah, I went into this like really kind of industrial kind of like post-punk where everybody was dressed as a goth and like they were tying each other up, and it was really scary. What? I was not as terrified there as I was at the Barnes & Noble in Greenville, North Carolina, the night that J.K. Rowling's The Goblet of Fire dropped at midnight.
Were you the oldest person there?
No, actually far from it.
That didn't have a child?
That didn't have a child? You were going to ask that? No, we weren't.
Oh, my goodness.
No, we weren't. Not at all. That was the funny part about it. And I knew you were going to make that little... addendum, like without kids, and you expect me to go, well, no, we were not the oldest few. Of course, at that point, I was like only
still too old.
32, 33.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The world went nuts for that for a while. So.
The world went nuts for that for a while. I guess they still are. I mean, they do something here. She passes gas online, and she's got another $100 million.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How about you? What's new with you? What's going on? Anything exciting?
Nothing new happened except probably going to get off Twitter.
Okay.
And I don't know what the alternative is because I thought, well, TikTok. I just post a video maybe of us recording sometimes or me editing. So I joined up. Right. I joined up for TikTok. I just hit view videos. I didn't type anything into it, John. I didn't type anything. It's just like view videos. I'm new here. I have no friends.
No login, no registration.
No. What I mean is, I'm new. I didn't friend anybody. I didn't follow anybody. I just hit. So let's see what videos TikTok is showing me. The first video they show me is a young lady in a bikini, 2-piece bikini. She's breastfeeding her child. And I'm like, why?
Why?
I know you say there's, what do you call it? Algorithms, but at no point, honest, I'm not lying. No point in my life did I ever type in that I wanted to see a woman breastfeeding her child. At no point. Nothing. We've all typed strange things into Google. Yeah. You look like you don't believe me, but I've never.
No,
asked.
I totally believe you. No, because I had no. Go ahead. I'll tell. Because I had a little.
That's all I have to say. I'm just like, why are you showing me?
Well, no, I Google searched this random thing about like retiring in Portugal because I was reading somewhere where Portugal is a very reasonable place for Americans to retire.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden I'm getting like these Brazilian videos in Portuguese.
Okay.
Women
breastfeeding
breastfeeding on the beach in Rio in a bikini. Yeah.
Well, that's not odd. I thought you were going somewhere odd. That's obvious. That's the opposite of what I'm saying, John. I never typed in. I wanted to see kids.
I mean, but my point is, what I didn't type in Brazil. All I did was. Now suddenly I speak Portuguese. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just saying. What I'm saying is, you could have typed in something like boneless chicken breast recipe.
Possibly.
You know, but I'm just giving that as an example that could have happened.
Just like one time, and I don't care about this. I filled in on drawing the Doctor Who comic. I never talk about my work here because I don't care about it. But like somebody's like, this artist dropped out. Will you draw the Doctor Who comic story? And I don't care about spin-off stuff. I mean, I don't care if I get to draw Doctor Who. So I filled in. I went online. I'm like, I need reference for Doctor Who, and I typed in some Doctor Who stuff. And I'm sure some people out there remember. And do you remember Adric? I don't know how much you watched Doctor Who. He was like
vaguely, I do. Yeah,
a 12-year-old kid. He was annoying. Nobody liked him, and they killed him off.
Yes.
So
and they did it. They did an American version with Joshua John Miller. No, anyway, go ahead.
That's true. But I'm just looking up Doctor Who reference while I'm drawing this. And again, I didn't type, I must have typed in about companions. And I got to a page where somebody had drawn naked Adric. And he's like 12 years old. And I'm like, oh. And I just clicked it off. I closed every browser. I'm like, no, I did not type in anything to see that.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It's scary. Somebody out there drew naked Adric. Whew.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm talking about. We were going to talk about Christmas. Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. Merry Christmas.
We'll try. Let's get to this movie because it's so terrible.
Let's get to the movie.
This movie's terrible.
Really is.
Did I pick it?
It is terrible.
Did I pick it? We had a consensus.
You did, Tim. Do you want me to say I picked it so you can I don't care. My reputation online is ruined anyway. You did pick it, yes.
Babes in Toyland from 1986, starring Drew Barrymore and Keanu Reeves, and a bunch of other people we'll get to.
Yeah.
We know the plot because it's a classic tale about Toyland, and Barnaby wants to marry the daughter of the old woman who lives in the shoe because for some reason he holds the lease on her house, even though no one else in Toyland seems to have any trouble with anything.
Right.
Houses, but it takes place in Toyland, where you got all the Toyland characters.
Yeah, which I wouldn't have felt comfortable there. The place gave me the creeps.
It was. We'll get to that. But that's the plot. Well, the plot.
The plot is the Wizard of Oz.
Yes, they add Wizard of Oz to this movie.
The plot is the Wizard of Oz.
Because Lisa and her sister Mary and Keanu, they live in Cincinnati. They sing a song about Cincinnati. Oh boy. Do you like that song?
That was a fantastic song. And Ohio, Ohio, USA. I didn't know there were that many songs about Cincinnati. And yet I can't find anybody in the production with the Cincinnati Cincinnati connection. Did it just fit in the song? I mean, the musical director was English. The director was English. It must have just, of all that, Minneapolis couldn't have fit in.
Nope.
No, Cincinnati. I guess
Cincinnati is fun to say.
Plus, you couldn't have had Richard Mulligan calling her Cinca-Whatsits.
That's right, Cinca-Whatsky.
Get it right, John. Sorry.
Did you fall asleep during this movie? Come on.
No, I didn't. As a matter of fact, I had the captioning on. Yes, that's what it was. Okay, yes.
Lisa and Mary are sisters. Mary seems to work in a department store. Keanu Reeves is their friend, and the manager of the store is Richard Mulligan, who you know from Soap and plenty of other stuff. He's famous for Soap.
Empty Nest.
Empty Nest.
The Golden Girls spinoff.
Right. He married a adult film star, name of Rachel Ryan. Did you catch that? That was his last wife. She made adult films from, I looked this up, 1985 to 1996. A long career.
A long and stellar career in the adult film industry.
I did type her in to look up her history, and I fully expected to see what I saw. So, see?
Okay, and then you're going to wonder why.
No, I'm just saying, I looked her up.
TikTok videos of breastfeeding women in bikinis.
That's a very specific thing to pop up, John. Never have I wanted to see that. It's not right. I mean, that's not right. There's a child in there. That's TikTok.
I've been near one of them things since birth. Come on.
No, I'm talking about the fact there's a child in the video. I mean, come on, TikTok. That's,
yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to...
How do you set that to music, anyway?
They're driving home from the store because there's going to be a big storm in Cincinnati. WKRP reported it. It's going to be a big storm. Old man joke. And they ride home singing Cincinnati, and they slide off the road, and somehow Drew Barrymore goes sliding down the hill. Seems to hit a tree. Is that what happens?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happened.
Nobody. She's pulling a Sonny Bono, and people do not live. Not to take that lightly, but people don't live when they hit trees. I don't think. But she hits a tree.
I guess it depends how you hit it.
Okay. Name one person that survived it, John. Name one person who has survived. Sonny Bono? No.
Okay.
One of the Kennedys? No.
There's got to be somebody.
A few Kennedys. A few Kennedys. They hit trees. They went skiing after drinking.
I'm sorry. I'm convinced there is somebody who has hit a tree and lived to tell a tale. If you have hit a tree and lived to tell a tale
while skiing,
please send an email to SETIBIMCO with an E at Gmail.
A Kennedy, John. Name one Kennedy that has skied sober. Can't do it.
I'll bet you're Rose. The mother. I bet you she didn't touch. I bet you she didn't touch a drop.
I bet you that's probably right, John.
The old joke in Boston. You know how people say, if you ask an obvious question with an obvious answer, and they say is the Pope Catholic? Does a bear shit in the woods? Mm-hmm. Well, when I used to be out on Cape Cod, it was, does Rose Kennedy own a black dress?
Oh, jeez. Drew Barrymore. She wakes up after hitting a tree, and she wakes up in Toyland. Mm-hmm. Doesn't she float down to Toyland? I forget.
Floating in her little sled that her sister has bought her at the Five and Dime.
Because she's an
or
angel.
Dollar Tree or whatever the heck it is. And she is much like a movie that the title escapes me right now. A house lands on.
Yes.
A witch. Do you recall that film,
yes.
Tim?
I think she's dead. This is heaven. This is hell.
Yeah.
This is the good place.
It was just I think I developed type 2 diabetes watching this movie. It is so...
We'll get to that, yes.
It's so sicky sweet, it's creepy.
So this was filmed in Germany, believe it or not.
Yes.
I looked that up.
Munich. They spent a lot of money on it.
Well, I'm wondering whether this is part of a little amusement park. I didn't look. I don't care. I just... Because they have those... They have stupid little go-kart cars in this movie. We'll get to that, but...
Yeah.
The town is 2 blocks big. 2 blocks at most. She meets Georgie, diabetic Porgy. That's what I call him. He's the cookie taster at the cookie factory. That's his job.
Yep. Right. who resembles, coincidentally, George, who works at the Five and Dime, with Jack and Mary.
Right. And then we see
this plot sounds so familiar. Anyway, go ahead.
Barnaby, who resembles the man who runs the store that they work for.
Yes.
Barnaby, right? No, I want to say Barnabas, but it's Barnaby.
Barnaby Barnacle.
He lives in a bowling ball. Very
black
odd choice.
With 3 holes. Was there like a double entendre joke there that I didn't get? It's black with 3 holes. I was like, am I supposed to be getting that? Because like I'm like thinking I should be maybe offended by that, but
Me
then
too.
I'm like,
I was offended.
I don't. But I can't really nothing that would get a laugh at a cocktail party. So I'm like, maybe it's nothing.
I have a note here. Do not bring up black with 3 holes. There's nowhere we can go with that.
I was one step ahead of you, Tim.
So Barnaby's going to marry the girl that Keanu Reeves loves. And this Keanu Reeves is Jack Spratt. A
very young, very handsome Keanu Reeves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because Keanu Reeves is gay.
Okay. I really don't know.
No, you ask gay men.
You ask
and
gay
like
men.
if it's somebody like as attractive as Keanu Reeves, you're like, oh, he must be gay.
Gotcha.
And it's now like people like gay men don't care, and I'm going to use dead actors so I like don't offend any living actors. Like they don't like if it was an ugly actor, they wouldn't care if like Ernest Borgnine was gay or Billy Barty, because it's Keanu, who admittedly was very, very attractive, was never photographed with women, was a little kind of ambiguous in his performances, and then he did that movie My Private Idaho with River Phoenix. Is like, okay.
Mm-hmm. That's all pretty Feeney. Okay.
He's not gay. He's not gay.
I wouldn't know. I don't.
Well, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. So no, never got that far up the social ladder.
It's just Liberace. He shocked me. Come on,
Liberace. Oh, he was a lousy lie. But it was the easiest $400 I ever made in my life.
Oh, jeez.
But I'm bummed.
So there's teddy bear cops in this town. The worst costumes, they're all furries. I told John about furries earlier, but here we have a whole furry convention.
A whole town of furries.
I saw Raggedy Ann, which is the only trademark toy I think I saw. Because there was no, you saw her, right? Just for a minute. I saw Raggedy Ann.
Just for a minute, yeah. It was like, was it product placement? I don't know. Somebody paid a lot of money.
Well, there was a Raggedy Ann animated movie in the late 80s. Was it mid-80s? Remember? It was a big deal.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
All right.
Not exactly the target demographic, but yes, I do remember it.
So they sing a song, Let's Hear It for the Girl song?
Yes.
There's a few songs here. But you know what happened when they played this song?
What's that? I
went to YouTube and I looked up the Cookie Factory. Oh, that's right. They started singing. Okay, sorry. It's good that I don't mind going down tangents, but I forget where we are in this movie. They go visit the Cookie Factory because Georgie Diabetic Porgy takes them to show him where he works. And they start dancing and singing. Is that where they sing "Let's Hear It for the Girl" song in the Cookie Factory?
I thought that was outside after I thought that was like between like when she got rid of
Barnabas.
Barnacle.
She breaks up the wedding, so he hates her.
Breaks up the wedding, and suddenly they start singing about freedom. I'm like, is this a Christmas special or a July 4th special? Like maybe they were thinking we could go either way with this. I don't know.
But for some reason, they go to the Cookie Factory after they upset Barnaby. And when they start singing in the Cookie Factory, that song was so bad. I was like, oh. And I typed into YouTube the Cookie Factory song and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which is called Toot Sweet. I don't know if you like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or the song.
Love Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
I do too. So I went and I watched that song and I fast forwarded through the song, Babes in Toyland, and continued the movie. So. Toot Sweet. Great song, John.
I love that song.
Ends with all the dogs running in because they're blowing the whistle. I don't know if you remember that.
The child catcher frightened me when I was a child.
Oh, Benny Hill. Benny Hill's in that movie.
Yeah.
Written by the Sherman Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So back to the plot. Barnaby is going to frame Jack Spratt by throwing all the cakes and candy down a big hole in the floor. because I guess he's in charge of guarding it. It's 6 months worth of cakes, so I don't know how good these cakes were going to be after 6 months.
Especially if it's like a buttercream frosting or something. Yeah. That is not going to last you 6 months. I thought that too. Yes. Like, wait a second here. What preservatives are they using in these cookies? I mean, I'll just go and get a bag of Oreos if, right. Jesus, these cookies are 6 months old. I thought I was paying this money for fresh.
So they take Keanu to prison. I'm just going through this plot quick. You stop me if you got something funny to say.
I'll let you. If I get a comment, I'll let you know. I'm just gonna get the emery board and file my nails here. No, go ahead.
Take him to prison for grand cookie larceny. That was like there was no jokes in this. No jokes landed. Not one joke. And
not one joke landed.
Barnaby's makeup was basically old man who got out of bed and didn't comb his hair. If you ever see this movie.
And they only put the fake nails on his pinkies.
Right.
Like, what's up with that?
He probably refused. Come on.
He probably refused. Like, no. He said, get away from my hands. I got to go out. And he probably was out late the night before going to some adult film convention with his
This was a TV movie, so it must have been in his contract. And he's like, okay, it's in my contract, but you're only putting one of these nails on my fingers.
Yes.
Because nobody was acting in this movie. Everybody was just like, okay, we're here.
Or overacting.
No, they couldn't.
Or like overacting. No, there was a lot of there were just some scenes that called for it. Yes. I mean, they had no choice as actors. They had to.
They should.
They had to
Yeah, they should. Oh. Pete Rose gets a mention. There's an inspiring story about Pete Rose.
For his 4,197 hits. And then they made him king of Cincinnati.
Yes, Drew Mary.
Yeah, she's trying to get the justice of the peace to distract him so they can get the keys and they can get Jack out of
That's true.
The jail cell.
Drew Barrymore. I keep wanting to say Drew Barrymore. So she made she made E.T. I don't know how she ended up in this.
Well, I think this is the point where like her mother was like taking her out to the nightclubs, like the Viper Room.
Did she?
Seriously, like
okay.
I forget. Like 13. She did a whole thing on it. Like it came out in People magazine in like 1989-80 or 1989-90, and it was like she just like her mother would just like take her out to these nightclubs because her mother I think wanted to be an actress and she was trying to make the connections. Yeah, so, and I guess she was pimping out her 13-year-old daughter. Like I don't know, meet men. I don't know. Like, oh, look at my daughter. She was Gertie in E.T.
So So this town is 2 blocks big, but everywhere they go, they got to get in these little go-kart cars.
Right.
To the point I was like, oh, another go-kart scene.
Yeah. And do you remember the only requirement for getting your Toyland driver's license, which was the cookie, by the way?
Right. A cookie.
The only way, as long as your feet could touch the pedals.
They don't want you walking. They don't want you walking anywhere.
Which is coincidentally the same requirements for getting your driver's license in Alabama. As long as your feet can touch the pedals, you can get a driver's license, get married, and have children.
True. I thought we only made fun of Florida on the show. Come on.
No, I'll make fun of Alabama too. It's a neighboring state. We'll just work our way up the East Coast.
No one's listening in Alabama.
Delaware. Let's talk about Delaware.
They want them driving those cars because if you walk, you're not going to. Diabetes will not. What am I trying to say? You won't get diabetes as easy if you walk around a little bit.
Right.
Anyway.
Walking around will burn off all the excess calories, thus risking the chance that you will not get type 2 diabetes. So you want to keep them as sedentary as possible.
Right. So the whole gang, Keanu, Drew Barrymore, Porky, Diabetic Georgie, they go to visit the toy maker to say, hey, Barnaby's an evil guy. The toy maker is Arnold from, not Arnold, what was his name on Happy Days?
No, he was Arnold.
Arnold, okay, and he's Mr.
Yeah. Mr. Al was the guy who took his place.
Yes, and Mr. I'm going to say his name wrong. Karate Kid. How do you say his name? He was Mr.
Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi.
His name was Pat Morita.
Pat Morita.
He actually had a jet in Happy Days, he was just billed as Pat Morita, but he has like a Japanese first name, given name that he uses with Pat in, quotes.
Okay.
And then,
So he's Santa Claus.
Yeah. And he's like 2 years off of an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor for The Karate Kid. And I'm like, really? This is all you could get after Mr. Miyagi?
Hey, well, not easy if you're not just white, young guy.
Yeah, you know what? As soon as that came out, I was like, duh, that's very insensitive.
If you're not a white, young, gay Keanu Reeves, you're not going to get the parts.
Right. There you go.
And for some reason, Santa Claus is collecting the world's evil in a bottle. That was like a strange plot twist out of nowhere. This was the 80s, and, I think a lot of cocaine went into getting the script done and getting it filmed. But he is kind of like a Jedi in that he's like, no, he's not completely evil. There's good in Mr. Barnaby.
Right.
And Barnaby is watching them with his Trolog, a bird with one eye.
Uh-huh.
And a bunch of monsters. Barnaby lives underground with some monsters and a Trolog. Totally Coke-induced inspiration there.
Totally Coke-induced world. Yeah.
This town is so white.
This town is so white. How white is it?
It's whiter than a dead Irishman. I don't know. Can I say
that?
It's whiter. It's whiter than Robert Rauschenberg's white painting series. Do you know your art history, John?
I think I have an idea of what that is. I think I know exactly what you're talking about. You don't need to go into detail.
Am I going ahead of you? Is there anything you want to say about plot points here?
No, I was just going to make a comment about the Irish, but that's okay.
We're Irish. We can do that.
Yeah, we can say this. But no, you brought up the Irish, and I'm like, it just reminded me of the old joke. What's the difference between an Irish wedding and an Irish funeral? One less drinker.
Yeah. You told that joke already, John.
Have I told that? But did it make it on the air? See, I can never be sure if it's on the air.
I think we got
complaints. I need to start listening to these episodes. Have I messed up? Where are we now?
I'm just, yeah. What's the difference between a Kennedy skiing and a Kennedy driving?
Nobody drowns.
That's right.
Oh my God, I've mind melded with Tim Hamilton. It's the Vulcan mind meld. Look at my eyebrows are going up just like Spock. Did I ever tell you about the time I was dating this guy? Oh, he was just the cutest little guy, this cutest little redhead, and he was just so adorable. And I dated him for about a month until the night he said to me, you remind me of a famous actor. And I'm like, oh, really? Who? And I'm like thinking, oh, Brad Pitt, Keanu Reeves, George Clooney.
Wait, let me.
Who? He said, Sarek, Spock's father from the original Star Trek series. I was like, what?
Mark Leonard.
Like, hey, he was a really handsome man.
He was.
I'm like, okay. So like, then like, I didn't even like spend the night with him that night. I was like, I got to go. And maybe I had to be at work the next morning. I don't know. So anyway, then I just called him the next day. I said, I'm sorry, I can't see you anymore.
Oh, no.
I did.
Wow. Well, at least you're honest.
I just couldn't do it, Tim.
If he said Leonard Nimoy, would that have been better?
No. I just couldn't handle the Star Wars reference. Just couldn't do it.
Star Trek, John.
Oh, Star Trek. See, there you go. I can't even keep them straight.
William Shatner? If he said William Shatner still, no?
Yeah, but you got to remember, I couldn't remember my PIN to my debit card tonight, so don't hold me to too high a standard, okay?
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just press the green button for credit, hon. I'm like, I'll do that. Because there's a line behind me. That's exactly how it's funny, because it's true, yeah.
So they capture them all. Barnaby, he captures them in his cave. They discover the hole in the store, and they go down in that, and they get captured in Barnabas's underground lair. And Barnabas gets the bottle with all the evils of the world in it, because he really wanted that. he invaded the toy shop. That was a rather ridiculous scene, and ties them up, and they get loose because the Trolog pecks at their skin, pecks their eyes out, but then pecks Drew Barrymore's ropes off her. Just wanted to point out that gruesome scene. But anyway, they get captured. They're in the prison.
Yeah. And
Barnabas sprays everybody with evil gas out of this bottle. And Drew Barrymore is immune because, she's been out drinking with her mom at the clubs.
Yeah.
She no longer. That's the funny thing about this movie. She does not remember what it's like to be a child. And I'm like, that's right.
Yes. Yeah,
you've been out to nightclubs with your mom.
Right. The previous night, she was in the Karl Lagerfeld rubber bondage room in Munich.
That's right. How weird is that? And that's exactly the plot. And they sing the Cincinnati song, and she snaps the other people out of it. And you know what happened when they played this, John?
What happened?
I went to YouTube and I typed in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang music box scene.
Oh my God.
With Benny Hill. You remember when Dick Van Dyke pretends to be a puppet, and Sally, what's her name? Sally Ann Howells. She pretends to be a puppet, and they dance. And I watched that instead of watching them sing Cincinnati again. I couldn't take it.
I gotta delve into this. I gotta figure out what it is with this movie, because there's like nobody associated with Cincinnati in this movie. It must have just been it fit in the song.
It fits the song, John. I think Oscar Hammerstein wrote that.
Or they probably just had that one line around like, oh, Ohio, Ohio, USA. And, so there had to be a city in Ohio. Maybe that's what it was.
Oscar Hammerstein.
If I ever meet Drew Barrymore or Keanu Reeves, I'm going to say, hey, that 1986 TV movie you did for NBC called Babes in Toyland, what was the deal with Cincinnati? They'll be like, what are you talking about?
Really? They don't remember that movie.
No, they don't. Or they don't want to.
So they then try to do more acting and pretend to be evil, even though they've been cured of being evil because they sang Cincinnati.
I mean, they haven't been acting through the whole movie. Why start now? Anyway.
Was that method acting, John? Is that what you call that?
Yeah.
You've done some acting.
I think it was the Stanislavski method. It's like, I am sandpaper, be sandpaper. That's a Dana Carvey bit. Anyway, talking about acting class. You are sandpaper, be sandpaper.
I don't remember that. But they run up to the toy maker's shop, and I forget to mention, we did see that he made giant wooden soldiers. Mm-hmm. Kids' tastes change. They don't want them anymore. I don't know if you saw what he was making, but it wasn't what kids want. It was those little wooden, I don't know who remembers this. You put a candle under these little wooden fans, and the heat
they spin.
Makes your little mobile spin around made of wood. That's what the kids were into in 1986.
I have got a tin one of those from Sweden.
Yeah, because that's because that's what the kids were into back then. That's what they wanted.
So they didn't want Care Bears. They didn't want Teddy Ruxpin. Mom, I want the spinny thing when you laid a candle under the.
That's what was in the toy shop.
Seriously, a kid was like, Teddy Ruxpin, he throws it across the living room and it hits the wall. He's like, I wanted the spinny thing that you light a candle under.
Yes. But there are giant wooden soldiers. In the original movie, it makes sense. They would hurt kids, and Santa was upset. But in this movie, he's just like, kids aren't into giant wooden soldiers that would kill people.
That would kill people.
So he releases them. And they actually have guns and cannons. They're shooting the monsters and Barnaby.
But they don't kill anyone.
Nope.
They just forcefully push them past the gates.
Yes. And Barnaby.
Which looks like the gate from F Troop. It was an amusement park, I think. It was like one of those El Cheapo amusement parks like you find up in the Catskills in the 70s.
Oh, no, John. I think it was Disney Germany. Don't you think that's what it was? Disney Munich.
No, I don't. No, actually, Tim, I don't.
But Barnaby grabs Jack Be Nimble.
Walt really hated the crowds. Yes. He said, that's it, the bare minimum for Disneyland Munich. I hate those crowds.
He didn't, though. But anyway, that's another story.
Oh, don't get me going. Don't ruin my image of Walt.
Barnaby says the regrettable line. He grabs Jack Be Nimble, and he says, it's the only line I remember from the movie. Jack be nimble, Jack be dead. Remember this? He's trying to choke Keanu. Anyway.
Yeah.
It wasn't funny or even bad. It was just, I don't know.
Yeah. At that point, I was looking for that DoorDash commercial with that cute little long-haired dude musician. I think his name is Tyler. Anyway, no, I didn't.
But here's where the plot falls apart. Santa Claus
banishes
Barnaby to this forest with these creatures that now hate him. He was the one that said, no, there's good in everyone. So I thought at the end we were going to have some, it's going to be like a Darth Vader ending. Remember? Darth Vader's like,
yeah,
you were right, Luke.
Jack, I am your father.
But he banishes him.
I am not your uncle. I am your father. Right. Damn, your mother was a fine piece of tail. Like, stop!
He's the one that said there was good in him, but he's the one that banishes him. Anyway, plot fell apart.
Right there, at that moment.
Drew Barrymore jumps in Santa's sleigh and flies off back to Cincinnati. And this is awkward. I don't know if you noticed this. This is how quickly they filmed this show, because Drew climbs over Santa's sleigh. Were you still watching? And she's what, 11 or 12? And I'm like, she climbs over and we see her underwear. And I saw her like put her dress down when she sat next to Santa. Like, oh, I realized my whole dress was hiked up. I was like, you couldn't film that one more time. You didn't notice
one more time
that when she jumped over.
Edit it? How about just edit that? Just a little snip, like 1 frame, 2 frames, 3 frames tops.
It was just the sloppiness. It was like this. It was almost like it was shot live, which it wasn't. Right? This wasn't live.
It was a European. No, it was totally animated, Tim. It was a European production. They're smut brains over there.
It wasn't even smutty. It's just like, just shoot that again.
The original. Actually, this was the reshoot. The original was Drew Barrymore doing the old Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct, and they said no. NBC said, Brandon Tartikoff said nope.
I don't know her real age. She looked like she was 10.
I think she was like 13 or 14 in this.
Okay. Whew. Well, I'm glad that's over. That was just terrible. Of all the movies, it was just no fun. Terrible. No fun. Terrible. No fun. But
like, I mean, as much as I love, to this day, I love Christmas, Tim. It's wonderful.
You love the holidays and the solstice?
I love all that stuff. And even as a kid, I was just like in wonder of it. And I believed the whole Santa shtick. I believed everything. But even if I had been a 6-year-old child in 1986 watching this movie on NBC, I'd be like, oh God, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
I think so.
I think I would have the same reaction as a 6-year-old. I'd be like, oh God, really? Yep. Really?
I love the holidays too. Yeah. Do you remember the show Love American Style?
Of course. Love American Style.
Sung by the Cowsills.
The Cowsills.
I'm sure our listeners don't remember this show, but it was an early 70s show, an anthology about love. And it was actually where Happy Days started. There was an unofficial little pilot called Love in the Happy Days. Yes. It was in reruns, and I don't know why I watched it. I think I love the song. I love the logo. But I was too young to get the humor. It was like adult love stuff. I don't know why I was watching it. Like my babysitter must have been watching it. But I love the logo. And wait.
Go ahead.
Sometimes I see you. You're going to go into a story. I'm trying to tell you that one Christmas, because I'd been camping with friends as a kid, and I remember I had to borrow a sleeping bag. I'm like, you need a sleeping bag. And I picked out what I thought was the Love American Style sleeping bag, because it was the 70s, and this sleeping bag had hearts with the flag. The flag, because for people who don't know, Love American Style had a heart, and it had the stripes and stars, American
stars
flag,
and stripes, and
and
fireworks going off in the background.
And in no way was this sleeping bag, an official Love American Style sleeping bag, which only lasted 2 seasons. It was just a sleeping bag with hearts and flag motif, and I loved that sleeping bag. I took it to college as a blanket. I think it only got destroyed somewhere in the 90s. Eventually it like it wore out.
Washing it and yeah.
Yeah, John, washing it. That's how it got worn out. Washing it.
Yeah, that's how it
right,
got
John.
worn out. Yeah, washing it. I wash it every week.
But I remember that. I don't know why I loved the Love American Style song and opening.
Yes, I did too. And I you know what I think it was? Because it was almost set up like a half hour of cartoons because they were short, like
they were
10 to 15 minute little vignettes. And maybe that's why I enjoyed it too, because it was kind of like watching you have like 3 Bugs Bunny cartoons in a half hour, and it was the same length. So maybe that's why it was appealing to us as children as well.
Well, I'm going to move us along to quiz time.
I'll call it
the BIMCO
SETI Q&A.
Brain Twister.
Answering quizzes.
Theme song. Do you like quizzes, John?
I do love quizzes.
Brainstorm.
I'll call it SETI Q&A.
Brain Twister. The BIMCO. I love quizzes.
Answering
the BIMCO.
I'll call it theme song.
No.
Who from this show, John, was voted most likely to be the CEO of an elevator company? Did you have any thoughts?
I do, and it's a shared honor.
Okay.
And it's a shared honor between Zach and Mac, who were kind of like the monster henchmen.
One of which looked like Nosferatu.
Of Barnaby Barnacle.
Yeah.
And if you notice in this film, Babes in Toyland, they're constantly pushing things down, like the cakes and the cookies. They push into a trap door, and it goes into the basement of the factory. And they push like Mary and Georgie and Jack into this pit, and they go into the dark forest, and
they push each other down sometimes.
And so they were voted most likely to be CEOs of an elevator company, because instead of the old adage, what goes up must come down, they came up with the adage of what goes down must go up. And that really got them thinking, and they started studying elevator mechanics, and they became CEOs of the company.
Interesting. Even though, as I said, one of them looks like Nosferatu.
Yeah,
exactly like
German.
Nosferatu. They're both German.
One bills himself. One in the Wikipedia was billed as a Swiss painter and occasional actor.
A Swiss painter came all the way to Germany to play.
I don't know. I can't remember if he was Zach or Mac, but but he was Switzerland, Germany. I mean, probably right there. Probably like a 2-hour train ride away.
No, he went down the canal. But yeah, that's right. One of them, they were
was
working.
Was it a great canal journey?
Yes, they were working levers in this movie. I saw that. Okay, well, my idea was that Toyland is like Florida in many ways. The constant sunshine, the way you can easily accuse someone of stealing cakes with no proof. Many people have diabetes, and of course, there's no elevators. So Jack and Jill, they live there. Jack was tired of falling down the hill all the time. He wanted to go up there and get the pail of water, but he's always falling down the hill. So he talked about building an elevator for the hill. Thus, he was voted most likely to be an elevator CEO, and he headed off to Columbia to go to school to become an elevator CEO. You got to stop making me laugh during these stories. But when he got to did I say Cornell? He headed off to Columbia. Doesn't matter.
Columbia, it doesn't matter.
But he fell down those big steps you take to get into the main building, and he broke his crown and broke his legs, and he broke his elevator inspecting finger. Thus, he went back to Toyland a failure.
Oh, that's a shame.
So do you have anybody in this movie who would have a podcast?
Yes, it would be the mother who played Mother Hubbard. Well, it would be the mother who played Mother Hubbard, who's Mother Hubbard in Toyland, played by the late, great Eileen Brennan, who I always loved. She was in Private Benjamin, The Sting. She was Zara, Jack's acting coach on Will and Grace.
Yes,
and, she was one of those supporting character actors that had a long, long career. I think she was on Laugh-In for a little while, too. But anyway, yes. As Mother Hubbard, she's always keeping lists. Like, she'd have these long lists.
Yes.
And I noticed at the end of the movie, after Drew Barrymore get out of the catatonic state or whatever she was in, and the mother was still writing in like her little steno pad.
That's right.
So she would have a podcast about not to have 13 children because you'll forget their names and the importance of keeping a list for everything, or you will lose control of your household.
True. And the deed to your house or whatever she owed.
Yes, make sure you know make sure you know who holds the mortgage on your shoe.
Is that all she was keeping notes about?
Well, that's all she uses on the podcast. I'm sure she's writing under a pen name. She's writing steamy erotic romance novels of the other stuff she writes on the list.
She seemed very unhappy in this movie. I mean, she must have
seemed very unhappy, but then she was quite aroused about the prospect of maybe getting Barnaby Barnacle in her marital bed.
Yes. It's very strange.
Very strange. Very, very strange.
So my vote for podcast. I think Jill would have a podcast, the boyfriend of Jack and Jill.
Mm-hmm.
The podcast was about her boyfriend who was obsessed with going up the hill to get water. And eventually she figured out he was going up the hill to look at erotic furry magazines he had stashed up there. He and Jack B. Nimble had a collection of erotic furry magazines. They smoked pot and looked at these centerfolds of teddy bears and rabbits all day. And that's why Jack fell down the hill on the way back. So thus, she has a podcast, which you can only hear in Toyland. It's all about the evils of objectifying the stuffed animals of Toyland, especially the teddy bear police. When they beat you, it is literally because you've been a bad boy or girl, not because you want to be called a dirty little bad boy or girl. This podcast is called Furnication. This podcast is called...
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
I have to go quick. I see John shaking his head. So who would have a spin-off TV show?
Well, of course, that would be Barnaby Barnacle.
Okay.
It was he winds up on the other end of the Forest of the Night, which is the forest that was outside Toyland. Toyland was totally surrounded by
an evil forest.
An evil forest. And so Barnaby Barnacle was banned to that forest. Well, when he came on the other side of the forest, he found another town, and he changed his identity. Instead of being raised by some sort of like forest creatures, he said he was raised by wolves. Mm-hmm. He got his private eye license, and then he changed his name to Barnaby Barnacle Jones, a Quinn Martin production. And he started his Barnaby Barnacle Jones, a Quinn Martin production, and that was his spin-off show. And so he was telling people he was secretly collecting all the evil from all the criminals he met, so he could get another full bottle of evil.
Did he learn to comb his hair?
No, he wore a fedora. He wore a fedora as a private eye. Barnaby Barnacle Jones, a Quinn Martin production.
Somewhere. Sometime friend of the show, New York Times bestseller, sometimes co-host of the SETI BIMCO show, George O'Connor is shaking his head because he doesn't get that reference. He's like, who's Barnaby Jones?
Is George O'Connor the only one listening? I feel like George O'Connor is our audience.
I almost did him.
Not that would be a bad thing, but I mean, if George is the only one in our audience, I mean, Jesus, do I really have to meet you at 7:30 every Wednesday night, Tim? I can just call George on the phone right now and talk
to him. I'll give you his number. His number is 718-352-1234.
1235. Fooled you.
Well, I have a TV show spinoff too. But who would have a TV spinoff? I almost did Barnaby too, because I thought that would be good.
Yeah.
But I did. My spinoff would have to do with Georgie Diabetic Porgy, who tasted all the cookies for his job. See, he gets married and he has a daughter, Ecstasy Porgy. Yes, that's her name, Ecstasy Porgy. She's expected to go into the cookie tasting business too, just like her father, but her father doesn't want her to. He doesn't want her to get diabetes, so he ships her off on the toy maker's sled. I guess the toy maker is actually Santa on his sled, so she can go live in Joyland. It's the land ruled by Joy Behar. And
no!
Patty Porgy grows up to regularly deal with Joy Behar's makeup on the TV show The View, and only Joy's makeup, Nobody else
Joy's
is.
makeup.
If she even hears that Patty is anywhere near Whoopi's dressing room, Joy belittles Patty about her little cookie-making fingers and cookie-tasting fingers until she breaks down in tears. And this TV show is called... The TV show is called, John.
Oh, God. I'm ready.
Whoopi, Joy, and Ecstasy. All right. A long walk. We're done. We'll get out of here. This was our holiday special, winter solstice.
This is our holiday. Aren't you filled with holiday joy now?
Everybody have a wonderful new year. And,
ho, ho, ho.
Right.
Happy winter solstice.
Wait, we got to give out the email. SETIBIMCO with an E at Gmail. Email us, SETIBIMCO with an E. We're on Instagram, SETI_BIMCO. Maybe I can get off Twitter. I don't know if I can do TikTok. You can follow us anywhere. All the places you listen to podcasts. It is SETIBIMCO.
Yes, SEDDYBIMCO.
Yeah.
I got to come up with a little jingle to spell because I think that might be our problem. People can't spell SETIBIMCO.
Maybe I can play the harmonica.
SEDDYBIMCO. I'll make. All right, it's the podcast where you learn a lot, and I'll come up with it. All
right. We're gonna go. We don't know what's gonna happen next week. We'll rearrange the new year.
We will rearrange. This is the Lunar New Year, the Chinese New Year, or okay.
All right. Bye, John.
Bye, Tim.
Happy holidays.
Happy winter solstice.
SETIBIMCO is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly, produced by Miss Lee, music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.
I'm going to be up front with you. I don't know how noticeable it was, but before we went on the air, I smoked half a joint.
Oh, jeez.